excited to talk to you today about the two different ways that we can strive for success in life. I'm going to be really curious which option you're going to choose by the end, even though I'm pretty sure I already know which option is going to sound nicer to you. So I've been thinking a lot about success lately, and success, in a really vast sense, where it could really mean anything that feels pertinent to you. It could be a career goal, a great relationship, a healthy body, an alert mind, or simply, a wonderful life. So think big here. But in order to create success, or any success in life really, what we really need is a strong enough motivation. So if the idea of something isn't, compelling enough, and if the motivation, to get off the couch just isn't there, we simply won't do it. And there are just, if I think about my own life too, there are just too many distractions and excuses and other important things, right, that get in the way and allow us to not really take responsibility for our not taking action, or our stuckness, as so many women, describe it to me. And this stuckness is often experienced as failure and disappointment, and that is really a key struggle that I think so many people, and women in particular, that I see in my practice are really struggling with. So most of my clients, and I'm sure that includes you as well, know what they want, but they don't quite know how to pull through and get to the final, desire and the final fulfillment of the goals that they set for themselves. So these repeating episodes, I know from personal experience, once again, turn initially into frustration, and eventually they're going to turn into things like self-doubt, low self-esteem, and worst of all, shame. And those three are definitely not the emotions that we, want to experience in our life on an ongoing basis. So what's going on? Are most of us just super lazy and not disciplined enough and not knowledgeable enough, or maybe not motivated enough by nature or by default? And I really don't think that that's the case. I think that we go about trying to create success in our life in the wrong ways that actually leads us to kind of crumble under the pressure versus thrive in excitement for the things that we want to create for ourselves. And that's a very, very different way of approaching life, as you can imagine. So here's what I found when it comes to striving for success. We can harness motivation from two different places. The first place is the kind of motivation that is initiated by kind of a looming self-punishment, that if you don't pull through, your life will forever be a failure and you will never achieve your goal, and all of that stuff. And similarly, I see women trying to shame themselves into forward action. And an example for that would be for someone to stand in front of the mirror and look at themselves and say, your abs are so flabby, nobody's ever gonna like you, you better get to the gym tonight. So you see how the motivation is coming from a very, very negative place, especially negative against yourself. So in essence, we try to threaten or shame or self-bully ourselves into positive outcomes. And you can see how there is definitely a glitch there that doesn't quite smoothly translate, right? We can't have the process be all negative and then the outcome be really positive. So personally, I can tell you that this strategy has never worked very well for me, and trust me, I tried for years in my 20s. And what I found was that I just didn't thrive, and there was too much pressure and too much confinement, and especially too many rules. In fact, I really dislike too many rules. I just, it kills my creativity. And then when I kind of feel threatened or rushed or pressured or confined, I just kind of want to turn my back and pack all of my belongings and go somewhere, friendlier, which typically for me included sweets and bad television. So the other part of it was also, when I did reach a certain goal, even that way, my subsequent feelings about it were never really true happiness that I succeeded, but it was relief that I didn't fail. And there's a really, really big difference between, actual happiness and relief. So let's talk about the second place where you can harness motivation from, because that's what we really want to know about now that we talked about the negative one that doesn't really quite work so well. So what's the second one that does work much, much better? The second source of motivation is kickstarted by a really strong why. Meaning, why are you doing something in the first place? Are you connected to it on a really personal, meaning level? And is it accompanied by a positive self-image? So do you have a clear sense of pride for your accomplishments so far? And are you really thriving in a genuine celebration of your own capabilities and of your own innate talents that you already bring to the table no matter what? So a positive internal foundation like that will give you kind of like the deep belief that your goal is actually possible for you, right? And this is essential for success. If you don't believe that your goal is actually achievable for you, you're constantly fighting against yourself. You're constantly holding yourself back and you become your own worst enemy. So creating a fear and shame-free zone, I think, really unleashes our creativity and makes us more productive because we don't spend time beating ourselves up and we don't spend time in anxiety of what is going to happen if I don't make this, action step tonight or whatever it might be. And it also allows you to course correct really quickly because fear of failure isn't looming over you all the time. And that's really big. I think that's a huge point. So in essence, for this, second approach of creating success in your life, your motivation is really fueled by what I like to call a cheer squad of youth who really want to see you thrive. So you have a ton of positive energy around you and encouraging the goal that you're trying to create for yourself. So your motivation is based also on a, what I sometimes call a more sort of like feminine approach to creating success that is based on self-collaboration and empathy and intuition. I really believe that women thrive when they're celebrated and when they're encouraged rather than when they're kind of like being put up to a challenge with the expectation that they're probably going to fail. Women don't want to prove people wrong, right? Like we don't thrive in that kind of environment, generally speaking. Of course, that's not a black and white truth here, but you get the point. So as a result, when we do reach those types of goals with that kind of approach, we experience actual happiness at the end and not relief. And again, it's just the biggest difference in life when you can experience true happiness from the things that you've accomplished and done and dared to do rather than relief. It is such a big difference. So again, it's pretty clear which approach is probably going to feel nicer, right? And so to leave you with something, if you're currently in that sort of like self-loathing, self-punishment, shame-driven way of motivating yourself and you want to switch over to the other side of having a positive self-image and thriving in the encouragement that you're getting, from your own awareness of yourself, here are 4 steps that you can take right now, and I'm going to put them underneath this video as well. Number 1, create a really strong why. Think of something that you've been wanting to do and write down exactly why you want it. This is really important. Don't just think about it, write it down. How will it serve you? How will it serve others, your community, and the world? So really connecting to your why on a really deep and meaningful and profound level is a really important first step. And then number 2, write down everything that you're proud of. And I want you to think about any, characteristics and soft skills that you have, like random little things that you could have done in your childhood that you're actually kind of proud of, right? As well as these sort of like big credibility markers, the external achievements, and your hard skills. So include everything in this list. You really want to create this thick cushion of being aware of your capabilities and the things that you really do bring to the table. And all of us do, so don't tell me that you don't have anything that you can actually be proud of having accomplished in your life. Really sit down and think about those things and write them down. Number 3, create a really strong vision of what your goal is going to look like once it's accomplished. And I really want you to go into depth here. Think about what it's going to look like, what it's going to smell like, what it's going to feel like and sound like. I really want you to create a very active picture of this final outcome and like create a vision of it, right? Like this is going to pull you forward. And then number 4, I want you to get into action right now. Whether that's starting this exercise or whether that's actually making a phone call that you've been waiting to make. It could be something really small and minute or really large and substantial. It doesn't matter, but it's so important that you jump into action right now and follow up, this list of actions, or this list of steps for you to take with an actual physical action step. So it doesn't just stay in your mind, but it can really enter your reality. Alright, in the comments below, I would love to hear what you have thought about this video. And if you have any questions, we can chat down there too. And I would just love to hear what you think, or maybe you can share a goal with me that you've been wanting to accomplish, and that you're now going to try to accomplish through this positive lens of seeing yourself